Él debe entrenar muy duro para lograr sus objetivos.
He must train very hard to achieve his goals. He must train very hard to achieve his goals.
Nunca debes subestimar el impacto que tienes en las personas.
You must never underestimate the impact you have on people. You must never underestimate the impact you have on people.
Hay aproximadamente 10 escuelas secundarias en esta ciudad.
There are approximately 10 high schools in this town. There are approximately 10 high schools in this town.
Además de miel y aceite de coco, también necesitamos salmón.
In addition to honey and coconut oil, we also need salmon. In addition to honey and coconut oil, we also need salmon.
Desafortunadamente, el acoso en línea es un fenómeno común.
Unfortunately, online harassment is a common phenomenon. Unfortunately, online harassment is a common phenomenon.
La música puede tener una influencia positiva en nuestro estado de ánimo.
Music can have a positive influence on our mood. Music can have a positive influence on our mood.
Cualquier persona, independientemente de su edad, puede cosechar los beneficios del ejercicio regular.
Anyone, regardless of their age, can reap the benefits of regular exercise. Anyone, regardless of their age, can reap the benefits of regular exercise.
Hay muchos padres solidarios en una sociedad desarrollada.
There are many supportive parents in a developed society. There are many supportive parents in a developed society.
La baja autoestima puede ser una desventaja.
Low self-esteem can be a disadvantage. Low self-esteem can be a disadvantage.
Ellos superan sus miedos.
They overcome their fears. They overcome their fears.
Eso me permite pasar más tiempo con mis caballos.
It enables me to spend more time with my horses. It enables me to spend more time with my horses.
Los niños agresivos a menudo intimidan a sus compañeros de clase.
Aggressive children often bully their classmates. Aggressive children often bully their classmates.
No puedes culparme por lo que has hecho.
You can't blame me for what you have done. You can't blame me for what you have done.
Parece ser un plan viable.
It seems to be a feasible plan. It seems to be a feasible plan.
Solo unos pocos adolescentes están reservados en mi escuela.
Only few teenagers are reserved in my school. Only few teenagers are reserved in my school.
Algunas enfermedades son hereditarias.
Some diseases are hereditary. Some diseases are hereditary.
Los aguacates son muy nutritivos.
Avocados are very nutritious. Avocados are very nutritious.
Debido al mal clima.
Due to the bad weather. Due to the bad weather.
Afortunadamente, tengo algo de dinero conmigo.
Fortunately, I have some money with me. Fortunately, I have some money with me.
Con la ayuda del banco por internet.
With the help of internet banking. With the help of internet banking.
Los anuncios nos persuaden a comprar cosas.
Advertisements persuade us to buy things. Advertisements persuade us to buy things.
Durante las rebajas de verano.
During summer sales. During summer sales.
No estoy dispuesto a pedir dinero prestado para cosas innecesarias, M.
I am not willing to borrow money for unnecessary things. I am not willing to borrow money for unnecessary things.
No quiero ser una víctima de fraude en línea.
I don't want to become a victim of online fraud. I don't want to become a victim of online fraud.
Los cajeros automáticos nos ayudan a tener acceso a efectivo rápidamente.
ATMs help us access cash quickly. ATMs help us access cash quickly.
Retirar dinero de un cajero automático.
Withdraw money from an ATM. Withdraw money from an ATM.
Esta hermosa casa es definitivamente vale su precio.
This gorgeous house is definitely worth its price. This gorgeous house is definitely worth its price.
No sé si es verdad o no.
I don't know whether it's true or not. I don't know whether it's true or not.
La forma más efectiva de buscar información.
The most effective way of searching for information. The most effective way of searching for information.
Los teléfonos celulares tienen un gran impacto en la vida social.
Cell phones have a huge impact on social life. Cell phones have a huge impact on social life.
Las escuelas necesitan asegurar que protegen a sus estudiantes del crimen.
Schools need to ensure that they protect their students from crime. Schools need to ensure that they protect their students from crime.
Ella nunca tiene síntomas de abstinencia.
She never has withdrawal symptoms. She never has withdrawal symptoms.
Como siempre, no hay beneficios sin inconvenientes.
As always, there are no benefits without drawbacks. As always, there are no benefits without drawbacks.
La drogadicción puede destruir tu salud.
Drug addiction can destroy your health. Drug addiction can destroy your health.
La segregación en instituciones educativas.
Segregation in educational institutions. Segregation in educational institutions.
La migración da beneficios a los países anfitriones.
Migration provides benefits for host countries. Migration provides benefits for host countries.
Kate es una persona sociable, no como yo.
Unlike me, Kate is a sociable person. Unlike me, Kate is a sociable person.
Me encontré con Tom en el concierto.
I ran across Tom at the concert. I ran across Tom at the concert.
Es un desperdicio de dinero botar la comida.
It's a waste of money to throw away food. It's a waste of money to throw away food.
¿Puedes garantizar que terminarás esta tarea antes del 12 de abril?
Can you guarantee that you finish this assignment by April 12th? Can you guarantee that you finish this assignment by April 12th?
Es inútil pedirle ayuda a Jessica.
It's useless asking Jessica for help. It's useless asking Jessica for help.
Desde un punto de vista financiero.
From a financial point of view. From a financial point of view.
Enfatizar la importancia de algo.
Stress the importance of something. Stress the importance of something.
Él literalmente no tiene dientes.
He literally doesn't have any teeth. He literally doesn't have any teeth.
Matt se adaptó bien a las condiciones de Alaska.
Matt adapted well to the circumstances in Alaska. Matt adapted well to the circumstances in Alaska.
Tanto el chocolate como el pastel son una buena opción.
Either the chocolate or the cake is a good choice. Either the chocolate or the cake is a good choice.
Tengo la oportunidad de practicar mi inglés.
I have the chance to practice my English. I have the chance to practice my English.
No te expongas a ningún peligro.
Don't expose yourself to any danger. Don't expose yourself to any danger.
El árbitro descalificó al jugador de fútbol del juego.
The referee disqualified the football player from the game. The referee disqualified the football player from the game.
Me siento un poco incómodo en esta situación, M.
I feel a bit awkward in this situation. I feel a bit awkward in this situation.
Él asiste a las reuniones todos los días.
He attends the meetings on a daily basis. He attends the meetings on a daily basis.
Tener ilusiones es mucho mejor que renunciar a tus sueños.
Wishful thinking is much better than giving up your dreams. Wishful thinking is much better than giving up your dreams.
Un fenómeno inusual.
An unusual phenomenon. An unusual phenomenon.
Hemos discutido algunos temas importantes, a saber la protección del medio ambiente y la contaminación del aire.
We have discussed some important issues, namely environmental protection and air pollution. We have discussed some important issues, namely environmental protection and air pollution.
Hice una cita con mi ginecólogo, M.
I've made an appointment with my gynecologist. I've made an appointment with my gynecologist.
Sin el consentimiento de Liam.
Without Liam's consent. Without Liam's consent.
Estoy dispuesto a asumir el riesgo, M.
I'm willing to take the risk. I'm willing to take the risk.
La brecha generacional entre padres e hijos.
Generation gap between parents and their children. Generation gap between parents and their children.
Puedes pedirlo prestado por un cierto periodo de tiempo.
You can borrow it for a certain period of time. You can borrow it for a certain period of time.
De una manera apropiada.
In an appropriate way. In an appropriate way.
Tomando todo en cuenta.
Taking everything into account. Taking everything into account.
Necesito urgentemente tu decisión.
I urgently need your decision. I urgently need your decision.
Obviamente no es la mejor opción.
It is obviously not the best choice. It is obviously not the best choice.
En cuanto a mí, me gustan estas condiciones.
As for me, I like these conditions. As for me, I like these conditions.
Pueden ofrecer una amplia variedad de menús.
They can provide a wide choice of menus. They can provide a wide choice of menus.
¿Me puedes recomendar un buen hotel?
Can you recommend a good hotel? Can you recommend a good hotel?
Socavar los planes de alguien.
Undermine someone's plans. Undermine someone's plans.
Una falta de confianza le impidió aceptar la oferta de trabajo.
A lack of confidence prevented him from accepting the job offer. A lack of confidence prevented him from accepting the job offer.
Brandon muchas veces excede el límite de velocidad.
Brandon often exceeds the speed limit. Brandon often exceeds the speed limit.
Esto me recuerda a nuestras vacaciones pasadas.
This reminds me of our previous holiday. This reminds me of our previous holiday.
Él distrajo mi atención a propósito.
He deliberately distracted my attention. He deliberately distracted my attention.
Teniendo todo en cuenta.
All things considered. All things considered.
Aplica para ti también.
It applies to you as well. It applies to you as well.
Chloe se va por las ramas.
Chloe is just beating around the bush. Chloe is just beating around the bush.
Estoy considerando comprar mi propio departamento.
I am considering buying my own apartment. I am considering buying my own apartment.
Requiere de mucha paciencia.
It requires a lot of patience. It requires a lot of patience.
Mantener un equilibrio entre el trabajo y la familia.
Maintain a balance between job and family. Maintain a balance between job and family.
Nadie engaña a sus amigos.
Nobody deceives their friends. Nobody deceives their friends.
Tu determinación es admirable.
Your determination is admirable. Your determination is admirable.
Por alguna razón, cambió de opinión.
He changed his mind for some reason. He changed his mind for some reason.
Se perdieron del anuncio.
They missed the announcement. They missed the announcement.
Los sitios web de redes sociales tienen un impacto increíble en las personas.
Social media websites have an incredible impact on people. Social media websites have an incredible impact on people.
Un enorme esfuerzo.
An enormous amount of effort. An enormous amount of effort.
El jefe desarrolló un nuevo método.
The boss developed a new method. The boss developed a new method.
Él pone énfasis en mantener todas las reglas.
He puts emphasis on keeping all the rules. He puts emphasis on keeping all the rules.
La gente a menudo protesta contra una nueva ley.
People often protest against a new law. People often protest against a new law.
Para muchas personas, Renunciar al trabajo es poco realista.
Quitting a job is unrealistic for many people. Quitting a job is unrealistic for many people.
La investigación tecnológica y científica ayuda a preservar nuestro medio ambiente.
Technological and scientific research help preserve our environment. Technological and scientific research help preserve our environment.
El Internet te permite ampliar tu conocimiento.
The Internet enables you to expand your knowledge. The Internet enables you to expand your knowledge.
¿Ya evaluaste los resultados?
Have you evaluated the results yet? Have you evaluated the results yet?
No podemos acomodar a más de 20 personas.
We can't accommodate more than 20 people. We can't accommodate more than 20 people.
Al parecer, tienes talento para los idiomas.
Apparently, he has a talent for languages. Apparently, he has a talent for languages.
Siempre exagera cuando se trata de su formación profesional.
He always exaggerates when it comes to his professional development. He always exaggerates when it comes to his professional development.
¿Cuál es el mayor logro en tu vida?
What is the greatest achievement in your life? What is the greatest achievement in your life?
Resultó ser un éxito.
It turned out to be a success. It turned out to be a success.
La implementación de un proyecto.
The implementation of a project. The implementation of a project.
Ella siempre divide el pastel en partes iguales.
She always divides the cake equally. She always divides the cake equally.
Facilita el desarrollo de la carrera de Jeremy.
It facilitates the development of Jeremy's career. It facilitates the development of Jeremy's career.
Dividimos los gastos en partes iguales.
We shared the costs evenly. We shared the costs evenly.
Estoy absolutamente seguro, M.
I'm absolutely certain. I'm absolutely certain.
Tu anterior mentor.
Your former mentor. Your former mentor.
Tristemente, la pérdida es irreversible.
Sadly, the loss is irreversible. Sadly, the loss is irreversible.
Estos datos difieren bastante de los anteriores.
These data considerably differ from the previous ones. These data considerably differ from the previous ones.
Drew es excepcionalmente talentoso en el diseño de interiores.
Drew is exceptionally talented in interior design. Drew is exceptionally talented in interior design.
Bill usa corbatín en ocasiones especiales.
Bill wears a bow tie on special occasions. Bill wears a bow tie on special occasions.
Un estilo de vida sedentario puede hacer que aumentes de peso.
A sedentary lifestyle can make you gain weight. A sedentary lifestyle can make you gain weight.
Es probable que tales eventos ocurran en el futuro.
Such events are likely to occur in the future. Such events are likely to occur in the future.
Existe una gran presión sobre las personas debido a las altas expectativas.
There's a big pressure on people due to high expectations. There's a big pressure on people due to high expectations.
Es extremadamente frustrante esperar los resultados del examen.
It's extremely frustrating to wait for exam results. It's extremely frustrating to wait for exam results.
La incertidumbre puede hacerte sentir vulnerable.
Uncertainty can make you feel vulnerable. Uncertainty can make you feel vulnerable.
Este enfoque puede sonar extraño, pero funciona.
This approach may sound weird, but it works. This approach may sound weird, but it works.
El doble de solicitantes que el año pasado.
Twice as many applicants as last year. Twice as many applicants as last year.
A un precio razonable.
At a reasonable price. At a reasonable price.
En general, él se desempeña bien en todas partes.
Generally, he performs well everywhere. Generally, he performs well everywhere.
La tentación fue irresistible.
The temptation was irresistible. The temptation was irresistible.
Gracias por hacerme ver la importancia de las señales de tránsito.
Thank you for calling my attention to the importance of traffic signs. Thank you for calling my attention to the importance of traffic signs.
No es necesariamente difícil mantenerse al día con las tendencias de la moda actuales.
It's not necessarily hard to keep up with today's fashion trends. It's not necessarily hard to keep up with today's fashion trends.
Las frases positivas me inspiran.
Constructive quotes inspire me. Constructive quotes inspire me.
Los fluidos hidratan todo tu cuerpo.
Fluids hydrate your whole body. Fluids hydrate your whole body.
Alojarse en Tailandia es asequible para muchos turistas.
Accommodation in Thailand is affordable for many tourists. Accommodation in Thailand is affordable for many tourists.
La intervención quirúrgica salvó la vida del paciente.
The surgical intervention saved the patient's life. The surgical intervention saved the patient's life.
Hablando en sentido figurado.
Figuratively speaking. Figuratively speaking.
Como harina blanca con moderación.
I eat white flour in moderation. I eat white flour in moderation.
El vino se supone que es beneficioso para tu salud.
Wine is supposed to be beneficial for your health. Wine is supposed to be beneficial for your health.
Usaron recursos financieros ilegales.
They used illegal financial sources. They used illegal financial sources.
El discurso de la primera dama fue mucho más inspirador de lo que pensamos.
The First Lady's speech was inspirational far beyond our expectations. The First Lady's speech was inspirational far beyond our expectations.
Un profesor increíblemente talentoso.
An incredibly gifted lecturer. An incredibly gifted lecturer.
¿Te ha pasado alguna vez que olvidaste cuántos años tenías?
Has it ever happened to you that you forgot how old you were? Has it ever happened to you that you forgot how old you were?
No pude resistir la tentación, así que me comí otra bola de helado.
I couldn't resist the temptation, so I ate another scoop of ice cream. I couldn't resist the temptation, so I ate another scoop of ice cream.
Es ridículamente barato comparado con los precios del mercado.
It is ridiculously cheap compared to the market prices. It is ridiculously cheap compared to the market prices.
Es una tarea difícil hacer un seguimiento de los cambios en la vida de un adolescente.
It is a challenging task to keep track of the changes in a teenager's life. It is a challenging task to keep track of the changes in a teenager's life.
¿Has oído hablar de los últimos chismes?
Have you heard about the latest gossip? Have you heard about the latest gossip?
Un mundo completamente nuevo se abre para ti si hablas inglés.
An entirely new world opens for you if you speak the English language. An entirely new world opens for you if you speak the English language.
Le dieron un gran libro por sus buenas notas en la escuela.
He got a great book for his good grades at school. He got a great book for his good grades at school.
Todas las tarjetas bancarias caducan después de algunos años.
All bank cards expire after a few years. All bank cards expire after a few years.
Usar corbata hace que los hombres se vean atractivos.
Wearing a tie makes men look attractive. Wearing a tie makes men look attractive.
Conducir un automóvil requiere atención constante y comportamiento responsable.
Driving a car requires constant attention and responsible behavior. Driving a car requires constant attention and responsible behavior.
Las redes sociales permiten mantenerte en contacto con otros.
Social websites make it possible for you to stay in contact with others. Social websites make it possible for you to stay in contact with others.
La generosidad de Gordon es admirable.
Gordon's generosity is remarkable. Gordon's generosity is remarkable.
Las personas muchas veces son indiferentes cuando escuchan sobre catástrofes naturales.
People are often indifferent when they hear about natural catastrophes. People are often indifferent when they hear about natural catastrophes.
Considerando los hechos.
Considering the facts. Considering the facts.
La calificación adecuada es uno de los factores más importantes al aplicar a un trabajo.
Proper qualification is one of the most important factors when applying for a job. Proper qualification is one of the most important factors when applying for a job.
Si te hubiera esperado, habría perdido mi vuelo.
If I had waited for you, I would have missed my flight. If I had waited for you, I would have missed my flight.
Jeffrey está obsesionado con los deportes extremos.
Jeffrey is obsessed with extreme sports. Jeffrey is obsessed with extreme sports.
Debemos establecer las reglas primero.
We should establish the rules first. We should establish the rules first.
Realmente disfruto hablar con personas cristianas de ideas afines.
I really enjoy talking with like-minded Christian people. I really enjoy talking with like-minded Christian people.
Es bastante arriesgado ir al extranjero sin un mapa o GPS.
It's rather risky to go abroad without a map or GPS. It's rather risky to go abroad without a map or GPS.
La personalidad humilde de Katie era muy atractiva para los chicos.
Katie's humble personality was very appealing to boys. Katie's humble personality was very appealing to boys.
Debe haber una explicación para eso.
There must be an explanation for that. There must be an explanation for that.
No puedo ver ninguna diferencia notable en su comportamiento.
I can't see any noticeable difference in his behavior. I can't see any noticeable difference in his behavior.
El uso generalizado de teléfonos celulares con cámaras hace posible que todos puedan ver diferentes partes del mundo.
The widespread use of cell phones with cameras makes it possible for everybody to see different parts of the world. The widespread use of cell phones with cameras makes it possible for everybody to see different parts of the world.
No esperaba verlo en absoluto.
I haven't expected to see him at all. I haven't expected to see him at all.
A cambio de su dedicado trabajo voluntario en la granja, le ofrecieron una dotación diaria de fruta fresca.
In return for his dedicated voluntary work at the farm, he was offered a daily supply of fresh fruit. In return for his dedicated voluntary work at the farm, he was offered a daily supply of fresh fruit.
La conexión a Internet es accesible en todos los hoteles 5 estrellas.
Internet connection is accessible in all 5-star hotels. Internet connection is accessible in all 5-star hotels.
El permiso ha sido rechazado.
The permission has been declined. The permission has been declined.
Acordaron comprarle una moto a su hijo sin dudarlo.
They agreed to buy their son a motorbike without hesitation. They agreed to buy their son a motorbike without hesitation.
Necesito discutir algo con usted con respecto a su solicitud.
I need to discuss something with you regarding your application. I need to discuss something with you regarding your application.
¿Le has contado todos los detalles de tu primera quesadilla hecha en casa?
Have you told him about all the details of your first homemade quesadilla? Have you told him about all the details of your first homemade quesadilla?
A pesar de ser considerado un excelente psiquiatra, también puede cometer errores.
Even though he is considered to be an excellent psychiatrist, he can also make mistakes. Even though he is considered to be an excellent psychiatrist, he can also make mistakes.
Ella no soporta que los niños la miren.
Ella can't stand it when boys stare at her. Ella can't stand it when boys stare at her.
Emma es una señorita sofisticada y bonita.
Emma is a sophisticated and pretty young lady. Emma is a sophisticated and pretty young lady.
Si combinas ciertos químicos, producen gases nocivos.
If you combine certain chemicals, they produce harmful gases. If you combine certain chemicals, they produce harmful gases.
Sally se detuvo de inmediato en la carretera para salvar la vida de un erizo.
Sally stopped on the highway at once to save the life of a hedgehog. Sally stopped on the highway at once to save the life of a hedgehog.
Estamos agradecidos por su generosa contribución al refugio de animales.
We are grateful for your generous contribution to the animal shelter. We are grateful for your generous contribution to the animal shelter.
Julian dejó de actuar en Hollywood para siempre.
Julian gave up acting in Hollywood for good. Julian gave up acting in Hollywood for good.
Los otoños cálidos en Suiza afectan negativamente el turismo.
Warm autumns in Switzerland negatively affect tourism. Warm autumns in Switzerland negatively affect tourism.
Es inapropiado preguntarle directamente a alguien sobre su edad.
It's inappropriate to directly ask someone about their age. It's inappropriate to directly ask someone about their age.
Cuando Esther tenía 20 años, apenas sabía algo sobre política.
Esther barely knew anything about politics in her 20s. Esther barely knew anything about politics in her 20s.
Fue solo una coincidencia que se pusieran la misma ropa y los mismos zapatos al mismo tiempo.
It was just a coincidence that they put on the same clothes and the same shoes at the same time. It was just a coincidence that they put on the same clothes and the same shoes at the same time.
Si dejas de lado tus sentimientos, la situación se resolvería más fácilmente.
If you put aside your feelings, the situation would be solved more easily. If you put aside your feelings, the situation would be solved more easily.
La presión sanguínea de Adam aumentó dramáticamente cuando se enteró del resultado del examen de matemáticas de su hijo.
Adam's blood pressure dramatically rose when he got to know the result of his son's math test. Adam's blood pressure dramatically rose when he got to know the result of his son's math test.
Lo que quiero decirte no es tan urgente como tu llamada telefónica.
What I would like to tell you is not as urgent as your telephone call. What I would like to tell you is not as urgent as your telephone call.
Recientemente, ha habido muchos cortes de energía en esta zona.
There have been numerous power cuts in this area recently. There have been numerous power cuts in this area recently.
El árbitro descalificó al portero del juego.
The referee disqualified the goalkeeper from the game. The referee disqualified the goalkeeper from the game.
La mayoría de los deportistas son modelos a seguir para los jóvenes.
Most sports people are role models for youngsters. Most sports people are role models for youngsters.
Amelia afirma haber escuchado el chasquido.
Amelia claims to have heard the clicking sound. Amelia claims to have heard the clicking sound.
Después de todo, podemos concluir que el fin de semana con los estudiantes de intercambio portugueses fue un éxito.
After all, we can conclude that the weekend with the Portuguese exchange students was a success. After all, we can conclude that the weekend with the Portuguese exchange students was a success.
No puedes aislar a tus hijos adolescentes de los peligros del mundo real.
You can't isolate your teenage sons from the dangers of the real world. You can't isolate your teenage sons from the dangers of the real world.
Podemos donar $1,000 al refugio para personas sin hogar.
We can donate $1,000 to the homeless shelter. We can donate $1,000 to the homeless shelter.
Puedes sustituir la leche de almendras con leche láctea en la receta de muffins de nuez.
You can substitute almond milk with dairy milk in the walnut muffin recipe. You can substitute almond milk with dairy milk in the walnut muffin recipe.
La tecnología moderna usa cada vez más huellas digitales para identificar personas.
Modern technology increasingly uses fingerprints to identify people. Modern technology increasingly uses fingerprints to identify people.
Él es capaz de hacer prácticamente todo por sí mismo.
He is able to do practically everything by himself. He is able to do practically everything by himself.
A pesar de ser relativamente inexperto, Peter pudo encontrar una solución a nuestro problema.
Despite being relatively inexperienced, Peter was able to find a solution to our problem. Despite being relatively inexperienced, Peter was able to find a solution to our problem.
Hay una grave ausencia de mano de obra en esta región.
There is a serious lack of workforce in this region. There is a serious lack of workforce in this region.
Jordan es extremadamente apasionado por navegar a vela.
Jordan is extremely passionate about sailing. Jordan is extremely passionate about sailing.
Básicamente, es el tipo de persona que intenta impresionar a todos.
Basically, he is the kind of person who tries to impress everybody. Basically, he is the kind of person who tries to impress everybody.
El contenido de la conferencia no fue satisfactorio.
The content of the lecture was not satisfactory. The content of the lecture was not satisfactory.
Esto es exactamente lo que necesitas hacer.
This is exactly what you need to do. This is exactly what you need to do.
Por varias razones, todavía no está listo para este desafío.
For various reasons, he is not yet ready for this challenge. For various reasons, he is not yet ready for this challenge.
Después de casarse, el nombre de una mujer no cambia automáticamente.
After getting married, a woman's name doesn't automatically change. After getting married, a woman's name doesn't automatically change.
El ahorro de energía es nuestra máxima prioridad ahora.
Energy saving is our top priority now. Energy saving is our top priority now.
En los Estados Unidos, no está permitido comprar alcohol si eres menor de 21 años.
You are not permitted to buy alcohol under the age of 21 in the U.S. You are not permitted to buy alcohol under the age of 21 in the U.S.
También se tiene que admitir que
It also has to be admitted that. It also has to be admitted that.
soy un poco parcial ya que Adele es mi ahijada.
I am a little biased since Adele is my goddaughter. I am a little biased since Adele is my goddaughter.
Necesitamos tener en cuenta que
We need to keep in mind that. We need to keep in mind that.
estos acontecimientos son, de hecho, asombrosos.
These facts are, indeed, astonishing. These facts are, indeed, astonishing.
Si no aliviáramos la presión en nuestra vida, fácilmente nos deprimiríamos.
If we didn't alleviate pressure in our life, we would easily become depressed. If we didn't alleviate pressure in our life, we would easily become depressed.
¿Cuál es la diferencia entre el alcoholismo y el consumo de alcohol?
What differentiates alcoholism from alcohol consumption? What differentiates alcoholism from alcohol consumption?
Los niños pueden volverse distraídos en la escuela debido a la falta de sueño.
Children can become inattentive at school due to sleep deprivation. Children can become inattentive at school due to sleep deprivation.
En la última década.
In the last decade. In the last decade.
Darla ha tomado una decisión consciente.
Darla has made a conscious decision. Darla has made a conscious decision.
En esta época del próximo año, habré trabajado en esta fábrica durante 5 años.
By this time next year, I will have been working in this factory for 5 years. By this time next year, I will have been working in this factory for 5 years.
Como resultado de su arduo trabajo, Nikki pudo presentar su tesis a tiempo.
As a result of her hard work, Nikki could submit her thesis on time. As a result of her hard work, Nikki could submit her thesis on time.
¿Su pregunta está relacionada con el trabajo?
Is your question work-related? Is your question work-related?
Se podrían tomar varias medidas para garantizar que los visitantes no arruinen estos lugares.
Several measures could be taken to ensure that these places are not ruined by visitors. Several measures could be taken to ensure that these places are not ruined by visitors.
En general, los niños están deseosos por adquirir más conocimiento sobre el mundo.
In general, children are eager to gain more knowledge about the world. In general, children are eager to gain more knowledge about the world.
Durante tus años universitarios, puedes solicitar subsidios para financiar tus estudios.
During your university years, you can apply for grants to finance your studies. During your university years, you can apply for grants to finance your studies.
Vi a propósito la película sin subtítulos para practicar el español.
I intentionally watched the movie without subtitles to practice the Spanish language. I intentionally watched the movie without subtitles to practice the Spanish language.
El género del nuevo libro de Martín es completamente diferente a los anteriores.
The genre of Martin's new book is completely different from his previous ones. The genre of Martin's new book is completely different from his previous ones.
El bienestar de un país depende principalmente de su economía.
The welfare of a country mainly depends on its economy. The welfare of a country mainly depends on its economy.
¿Te quedarás en Ámsterdam por esta noche?
Will you be staying in Amsterdam for the night? Will you be staying in Amsterdam for the night?
No debes salir del edificio hasta que los oficiales de policía te den permiso.
You are not to leave the building until the police officers give you permission. You are not to leave the building until the police officers give you permission.
Al parecer, habla al menos un idioma extranjero.
Presumably, he speaks at least one foreign language. Presumably, he speaks at least one foreign language.
A veces me siento invisible cuando hablo y nadie escucha.
Sometimes I feel invisible when I talk and nobody listens. Sometimes I feel invisible when I talk and nobody listens.
Ayer por la noche, Gary me maravilló con sus brillantes ideas.
Gary fascinated me with his brilliant ideas yesterday evening. Gary fascinated me with his brilliant ideas yesterday evening.
Sus argumentos son muy convincentes.
Your arguments are highly convincing. Your arguments are highly convincing.
Últimamente, el clima ha sido particularmente seco en nuestra zona.
The weather has been particularly dry in our area lately. The weather has been particularly dry in our area lately.
Realmente admiro tu competencia en este campo.
I honestly admire your competence in this field. I honestly admire your competence in this field.
Estamos a punto de irnos al bazar benéfico de Navidad.
We are about to leave for the Christmas charity fair. We are about to leave for the Christmas charity fair.
Estoy seguro de que habré terminado esta presentación antes del 14 de mayo, M.
I am sure I will have finished this presentation by May 14th. I am sure I will have finished this presentation by May 14th.
Al final de la competencia, revelaron el nombre del ganador.
They revealed the winner's name at the end of the competition. They revealed the winner's name at the end of the competition.
Lo considero como mi supervisor.
I regard him to be my supervisor. I regard him to be my supervisor.
Casi nunca lo encuentro en estos días.
I hardly ever meet him these days. I hardly ever meet him these days.
Vieron a un oso atacar una pantera.
A bear was seen attacking a panther. A bear was seen attacking a panther.
Su apoyo fiel significa mucho para nuestra comunidad local.
Your faithful support means a lot to our local community. Your faithful support means a lot to our local community.
No había visto a Sam tan entusiasmado en toda su vida.
I haven't seen Sam so enthusiastic in his whole life. I haven't seen Sam so enthusiastic in his whole life.
Trata a los demás de la misma manera que te gustaría que te trataran a ti.
Treat others the same way you would like to be treated. Treat others the same way you would like to be treated.
Aunque es una relación a larga distancia, la valoro enormemente.
Although it's a long-distance relationship, I greatly value it. Although it's a long-distance relationship, I greatly value it.
Lamento haber reaccionado tan duramente a tu propuesta.
I'm sorry I reacted to your proposal so harshly. I'm sorry I reacted to your proposal so harshly.
Visitar todos los países de la Unión Europea con mi equipo era una oportunidad única que no quería perder.
Visiting all the EU countries with my team was a unique opportunity one didn't want to miss. Visiting all the EU countries with my team was a unique opportunity one didn't want to miss.
Fumar puede tener serias consecuencias.
Smoking can have serious consequences. Smoking can have serious consequences.
No me malinterpreten, pero esta actitud no nos llevará a la solución.
Don't misunderstand me, but this attitude will not lead us to the solution. Don't misunderstand me, but this attitude will not lead us to the solution.
Gracias por su participación en el evento.
Thank you for your participation in the event. Thank you for your participation in the event.
Si tienes suerte, puedes ganar el crucero por el Caribe.
If you are fortunate enough, you can win the Caribbean cruise. If you are fortunate enough, you can win the Caribbean cruise.
Él escribe un artículo en el periódico local de vez en cuando.
He writes an article in the local daily paper from time to time. He writes an article in the local daily paper from time to time.
Las relaciones humanas a veces son complicadas.
Human relationships are sometimes complicated. Human relationships are sometimes complicated.
La dirección escolar insiste en que la matrícula debe pagarse antes de fin de mes.
The school leadership insists that the tuition should be paid by the end of the month. The school leadership insists that the tuition should be paid by the end of the month.
Arlo debe haberle prestado su bicicleta a alguien, ya que no puedo encontrarla en el garaje.
Arlo must have lent his bicycle to someone, since I can't find it in the garage. Arlo must have lent his bicycle to someone, since I can't find it in the garage.
Mi conocimiento sobre la historia de los Estados Unidos es solo superficial.
My knowledge about the history of the United States is only superficial. My knowledge about the history of the United States is only superficial.
¿Podría darme una descripción precisa del ladrón?
Could you give me an accurate description of the thief? Could you give me an accurate description of the thief?
De vez en cuando, todos enfrentan dificultades en su vida.
Once in a while, everybody faces difficulties in their life. Once in a while, everybody faces difficulties in their life.
Realmente me molesta cuando la gente es desagradecida.
It really bothers me when people are ungrateful. It really bothers me when people are ungrateful.
Sería mejor dividir las tareas.
It would be better to divide the tasks. It would be better to divide the tasks.
Ella trató de chantajearme, pero no la dejé.
She tried to blackmail me, but I didn't let her. She tried to blackmail me, but I didn't let her.
¿Me pasas el camote?
Would you pass me the sweet potato? Would you pass me the sweet potato?
Las noticias sobre la erupción del volcán fueron impactantes para todos.
The news about the volcano eruption were shocking to everybody. The news about the volcano eruption were shocking to everybody.
¿Está a cargo de la contabilidad aquí?
Are you in charge of accounting here? Are you in charge of accounting here?
No puedo cumplir todos los requisitos al mismo tiempo.
I can't meet all the requirements at the same time. I can't meet all the requirements at the same time.
No dejan de preguntarme sobre mi nuevo novio.
They can't stop questioning me about my new boyfriend. They can't stop questioning me about my new boyfriend.
Definitivamente estoy a favor de la idea de adoptar perros de refugios de animales.
I am definitely for the idea of adopting dogs from animal shelters. I am definitely for the idea of adopting dogs from animal shelters.
Me gusta establecer objetivos semanales para mí.
I like to set weekly goals for myself. I like to set weekly goals for myself.
Deben haber tenido que tomar el examen nuevamente ya que reprobaron la primera vez.
They must have had to take the exam again since they failed for the first time. They must have had to take the exam again since they failed for the first time.
Es aconsejable que tome su medicamento 2 veces al día.
It is advisable that he should take his medicine twice a day. It is advisable that he should take his medicine twice a day.
Nuestra perra aprendió a hacer algunos trucos.
Our dog has been taught to do some tricks by herself. Our dog has been taught to do some tricks by herself.
Caroline parecía estar avergonzada cuando la elogié por segunda vez en la semana.
Caroline seemed to be embarrassed when I praised her for the second time that week. Caroline seemed to be embarrassed when I praised her for the second time that week.
Mi rendimiento muchas veces se ve afectado por mis sentimientos.
My performance is often affected by the way I feel. My performance is often affected by the way I feel.
Es una creencia generalizada que cuanto menos carbohidratos comas, más saludable serás.
It is a widespread belief that the less carbohydrate you eat, the healthier you are. It is a widespread belief that the less carbohydrate you eat, the healthier you are.
Si tuviera que escoger entre estas opciones, elegiría el verde claro.
If I had to choose from these options, I would pick the light green one. If I had to choose from these options, I would pick the light green one.
El guía me dijo que no estaba preparado para hacer el city tour de ese día, M.
The guide told me that he was not prepared for that day's city tour. The guide told me that he was not prepared for that day's city tour.
Mi primera impresión de él fue muy positiva.
My first impression of him was very positive. My first impression of him was very positive.
Puedes fácilmente alcanzar tus objetivos si tienes una buena estrategia.
You can easily achieve your goals if you have a good strategy. You can easily achieve your goals if you have a good strategy.
Aprender idiomas ofrece beneficios a largo plazo.
Language learning offers long-term benefits. Language learning offers long-term benefits.
¿Cuántas horas al día estás ocupado conduciendo, M?
How many hours a day are you occupied with driving? How many hours a day are you occupied with driving?
¿Quién será tu representante la próxima semana?
Who will be your deputy next week? Who will be your deputy next week?
Higi, es quizás lo que hace que los daneses tengan el país más feliz del mundo.
Hygge is perhaps what makes Danish people the happiest nation in the world. Hygge is perhaps what makes Danish people the happiest nation in the world.
¿Qué podría hacer para hacerte sentir bien?
What could I do to comfort you? What could I do to comfort you?
En nombre de todo el equipo, me gustaría agradecerle por todo.
I would like to thank you for everything on behalf of the whole team. I would like to thank you for everything on behalf of the whole team.
Laura siempre está a favor de pasar tiempo de calidad con sus hijos en lugar de ir al cine.
Laura is always in favor of spending quality time with her children instead of going to the movies. Laura is always in favor of spending quality time with her children instead of going to the movies.
Ya se ha pedido el dispositivo que mencionó.
The device that you have mentioned has already been ordered. The device that you have mentioned has already been ordered.
¿Les gustaría compartir algunos pensamientos sobre lo que pasó anoche?
They would like to share some thoughts about what happened last night. They would like to share some thoughts about what happened last night.
Me temo que puse en vano todo mi esfuerzo en este proyecto.
I'm afraid I put all my effort into this project in vain. I'm afraid I put all my effort into this project in vain.
Existe la percepción generalizada de que las mascotas pueden ayudarnos a lidiar con el estrés.
It is widely believed that pets can help us cope with stress. It is widely believed that pets can help us cope with stress.
Se dice que Italia es el hogar de la pizza.
Italy is said to be the home of pizza. Italy is said to be the home of pizza.
Además, tampoco estamos seguros sobre los resultados del examen.
Furthermore, we are also uncertain about the outcome of the exam results. Furthermore, we are also uncertain about the outcome of the exam results.
Asumo que quiere estar sola para poder concentrarse en escribir su libro.
I assume she wants to be alone to be able to focus on writing her book. I assume she wants to be alone to be able to focus on writing her book.
Conocer gente de diferentes países puede darte una perspectiva totalmente diferente de la vida.
Meeting people from different countries can give you a totally different perspective on life. Meeting people from different countries can give you a totally different perspective on life.
A veces hay un pequeño desacuerdo entre los dos.
Sometimes there is a slight disagreement between the two of them. Sometimes there is a slight disagreement between the two of them.
Tu opinión me importa.
Your opinion matters to me. Your opinion matters to me.
A pesar de lo que el pronóstico del clima había predicho, todavía estaba nevando esta mañana.
In spite of what the weather forecast had predicted, it was still snowing this morning. In spite of what the weather forecast had predicted, it was still snowing this morning.
Mis instintos me dicen que ella tendrá su bebé esta noche.
My instincts say that she will have her baby tonight. My instincts say that she will have her baby tonight.
Siempre podríamos contar con él independientemente de sus circunstancias.
We could always count on him regardless of his circumstances. We could always count on him regardless of his circumstances.
Incluso cuando no está solo, William tiene miedo de estar en la oscuridad.
Even when he is not alone, William is afraid to be in the dark. Even when he is not alone, William is afraid to be in the dark.
¿Puedes dar una explicación de tu repentina mudanza?
Can you give an explanation for your sudden moving out? Can you give an explanation for your sudden moving out?
Dentro de unos años, me haré cargo de la empresa de mi padre.
In a few years, I will take over my father's company. In a few years, I will take over my father's company.
Siempre tengo la impresión de que Carla quiere que respete más sus puntos de vista.
I always have the impression that Carla wants me to respect her views more. I always have the impression that Carla wants me to respect her views more.
La dislexia puede dificultar tu aprendizaje.
Dyslexia can hinder your learning. Dyslexia can hinder your learning.
Si tienes la oportunidad de vivir y trabajar en el extranjero, no te lo pierdas.
If you have the opportunity to live and work abroad, don't miss it. If you have the opportunity to live and work abroad, don't miss it.
No tengo dudas de que cumplirá con su promesa.
I have no doubt that he will keep his promise. I have no doubt that he will keep his promise.
Muchos niños en países del tercer mundo no consumen suficientes nutrientes y crecen desnutridos.
Many children in third world countries don't consume enough nutrients and grow up malnourished. Many children in third world countries don't consume enough nutrients and grow up malnourished.
Carol inesperadamente me preguntó si estaba listo para un ascenso.
Carol unexpectedly asked me if I was ready for a promotion. Carol unexpectedly asked me if I was ready for a promotion.
Realmente aprecio tu perseverancia en perder peso.
I really appreciate your persistence in your weight loss. I really appreciate your persistence in your weight loss.
Terminaré mis estudios en mayo, sin importar lo que cueste.
Whatever it takes, I will finish my studies by May. Whatever it takes, I will finish my studies by May.
Puedes rallar el queso y mientras tanto preparar la salsa.
You could grate the cheese, and, in the meantime, I will prepare the sauce. You could grate the cheese, and, in the meantime, I will prepare the sauce.
Votaría por el señor White porque es un hombre íntegro.
I would vote for Mr. White because he is a man of integrity. I would vote for Mr. White because he is a man of integrity.
Mereces unas largas vacaciones por las horas extra que has hecho en el trabajo en los últimos meses.
You deserve a long holiday after your extra hours at work in the last few months. You deserve a long holiday after your extra hours at work in the last few months.
Es bueno cuando nadie te acelera, y puedes hacer todo a tu propio ritmo.
It's good when nobody makes you hurry, and you can do everything at your own pace. It's good when nobody makes you hurry, and you can do everything at your own pace.
Si no hubiera sido por mi mejor amigo, esta fiesta nunca hubiera sido tan exitosa.
If it hadn't been for my best friend, this party never would have been such a success. If it hadn't been for my best friend, this party never would have been such a success.
Hay una línea delgada entre darte consejos y decirte qué hacer.
There's only a fine line between giving you advice and telling you what to do. There's only a fine line between giving you advice and telling you what to do.
Donde sea que puse mi cargador, necesito encontrarlo.
Wherever I put my charger, I need to find it. Wherever I put my charger, I need to find it.
Si no fuera por Jason, todavía pasaría mis tardes solo.
If it wasn't for Jason, I would still spend my evenings alone. If it wasn't for Jason, I would still spend my evenings alone.
En esa época era solo un bebé.
I was just an infant at that time. I was just an infant at that time.
Considerando el hecho de que es directora, parece ser muy reservada.
Considering the fact that she is a director, she seems to be very reserved. Considering the fact that she is a director, she seems to be very reserved.
Necesitan apoyo espiritual, de lo contrario, perderán su fe.
They need spiritual encouragement, otherwise, they will lose their faith. They need spiritual encouragement, otherwise, they will lose their faith.
Jimmy siempre ha tenido suficiente confianza.
Jimmy has always had enough confidence. Jimmy has always had enough confidence.
Ella sacrificó todo su tiempo para ayudar a su mentor en la biblioteca.
She sacrificed all her time to help her mentor in the library. She sacrificed all her time to help her mentor in the library.
Por mi parte, no soy un gran fanático del fútbol.
As far as I am concerned, I am not a big soccer fan. As far as I am concerned, I am not a big soccer fan.
Es imposible comprar en hipermercados a medianoche, porque todos están cerrados.
It is impossible to shop at hypermarkets at midnight, because they are all closed. It is impossible to shop at hypermarkets at midnight, because they are all closed.
En realidad, pensé que él iba a ser más alto que tú.
Actually, I thought he would be taller than you. Actually, I thought he would be taller than you.
Estuve fuera de casa por un corto periodo de tiempo.
I was away from home for just a brief period. I was away from home for just a brief period.
Estamos viviendo temporalmente en Chicago.
We are temporarily living in Chicago. We are temporarily living in Chicago.
Un buen profesor de idiomas te dice cómo aprender un idioma extranjero paso a paso.
A good language teacher tells you how to learn a foreign language step by step. A good language teacher tells you how to learn a foreign language step by step.
La efectividad de la comunicación está creciendo en todo el mundo.
The effectiveness of communication is increasing worldwide. The effectiveness of communication is increasing worldwide.
La independencia y los altos niveles de vida son muy importantes para la sociedad de hoy en día.
Independence and high living standards are very important for today's society. Independence and high living standards are very important for today's society.
Hacer la reunión el próximo lunes puede ser adecuado para todos los demás, pero para mí, personalmente, es inoportuno.
Holding the meeting next Monday may suit everyone else, but for me, personally, it is an inconvenient time. Holding the meeting next Monday may suit everyone else, but for me, personally, it is an inconvenient time.
Estos números muestran una disminución en las ventas en comparación con el año pasado.
These numbers show a decrease in sales compared to last year. These numbers show a decrease in sales compared to last year.
Si tomas en serio este curso a distancia, pronto te convertirás en diseñador gráfico, M.
If you take this correspondence course seriously, you will soon become a graphic designer. If you take this correspondence course seriously, you will soon become a graphic designer.
El paquete desde Suecia llegó en buenas condiciones.
The parcel from Sweden has arrived in a good condition. The parcel from Sweden has arrived in a good condition.
El nuevo yogur de coco y plátano tiene un sabor agradable.
The new coconut banana yogurt has a pleasant taste. The new coconut banana yogurt has a pleasant taste.
Los animales son a muchas veces amigos más leales que las personas.
Animals are often more loyal friends than people. Animals are often more loyal friends than people.
Típicamente esta pregunta la hacen los voluntarios.
This question is typically asked by volunteers. This question is typically asked by volunteers.
Con frecuencia intercambian sus notas para no perderse nada de la conferencia del profesor.
They frequently exchange their notes so as not to miss anything from the professor's lecture. They frequently exchange their notes so as not to miss anything from the professor's lecture.
Se les notificó en cuanto se les envió el certificado de idioma.
They were notified as soon as the language certificate was sent. They were notified as soon as the language certificate was sent.
Quise hacerte un pastel de cumpleaños, pero nuestros amigos de Hamburgo llegaron antes.
I meant to bake a birthday cake for you, but our friends from Hamburg arrived earlier. I meant to bake a birthday cake for you, but our friends from Hamburg arrived earlier.
En el último momento, justo cuando quería cerrar la puerta, mi amigo Dan salió de la cocina.
At the last moment, just when I wanted to lock the door, my friend Dan came out of the kitchen. At the last moment, just when I wanted to lock the door, my friend Dan came out of the kitchen.
Mis estudiantes son capaces de resolver incluso los ejercicios más difíciles.
My students are capable of solving even the most difficult exercises. My students are capable of solving even the most difficult exercises.
Parece que esta galleta tiene una pequeña cantidad de nuez moscada.
There appears to be a tiny amount of nutmeg in this cookie. There appears to be a tiny amount of nutmeg in this cookie.
A medida que la manzana madura, su color cambia.
As the apple ripens, its color changes. As the apple ripens, its color changes.
¿Sabías que el té de rooibos tiene propiedades inmunoestimulantes?
Did you know that rooibos tea has immune-boosting properties? Did you know that rooibos tea has immune-boosting properties?
Un paciente que puede levantarse de la cama suele ser un síntoma de mejora.
A patient being able to get out of bed is usually a sign of improvement. A patient being able to get out of bed is usually a sign of improvement.
Las mujeres en el siglo XVIII ni siquiera se atrevían a soñar hacer otra cosa que no fuera ser ama de casa.
Women in the 18th century didn't even dare to dream of doing anything else than being a housewife. Women in the 18th century didn't even dare to dream of doing anything else than being a housewife.
En algunos casos, los países pueden ayudarse financieramente, pero no es algo frecuente.
Countries may help each other out financially in some cases, but it is not a common occurrence. Countries may help each other out financially in some cases, but it is not a common occurrence.
Construir una casa nueva es un proceso que lleva mucho tiempo pero vale la pena cada instante.
Building a new house is a time-consuming procedure, but it's worth every moment of it. Building a new house is a time-consuming procedure, but it's worth every moment of it.
Las enfermedades infecciosas pueden transmitirse fácilmente en climas fríos.
Infectious diseases can be easily transmitted in cold weather. Infectious diseases can be easily transmitted in cold weather.
La policía ha confirmado que el incendio fue causado premeditadamente.
It has been confirmed by the police that the fire was caused by arson. It has been confirmed by the police that the fire was caused by arson.
La probabilidad de nieve será mayor en las regiones del este del país.
The probability of snow will be higher in the eastern regions of the country. The probability of snow will be higher in the eastern regions of the country.
Según las estadísticas, el número de niños nacidos con autismo aumenta año tras año.
According to statistics, the number of children born with autism is rising year by year. According to statistics, the number of children born with autism is rising year by year.
En mi experiencia, aprender un idioma extranjero de manera efectiva requiere al menos una hora de práctica todos los días.
In my experience, learning a foreign language effectively requires at least 1 hour of practice every day. In my experience, learning a foreign language effectively requires at least 1 hour of practice every day.
Hay apps especiales para teléfonos celulares que regularmente te informan sobre las últimas predicciones meteorológicas.
There are special cell phone applications which regularly inform you about the latest weather predictions. There are special cell phone applications which regularly inform you about the latest weather predictions.
Fue una situación bastante desagradable cuando conocí a la novia de mi exmarido.
It was quite an unpleasant situation when I first met my ex-husband's girlfriend. It was quite an unpleasant situation when I first met my ex-husband's girlfriend.
El clima cálido pone en peligro el turismo en los centros de esquí.
Warm weather endangers tourism in ski resorts. Warm weather endangers tourism in ski resorts.
Marty y Rex han hecho un gran trabajo al hacer la voz en off de nuestra app de enseñanza de idiomas.
Marty and Rex have done a great job in doing the voiceover of our language teaching application. Marty and Rex have done a great job in doing the voiceover of our language teaching application.
Debes saber que esta información es sumamente confidencial.
You should know that this information is highly confidential. You should know that this information is highly confidential.
Más vale que tenga cuidado, de lo contrario, se puede lastimar.
You had better be careful, otherwise, you can get hurt. You had better be careful, otherwise, you can get hurt.
Apenas había salido por la puerta, cuando mis nietos aparecieron en la entrada.
I had hardly stepped out the door when my grandchildren appeared at the gate. I had hardly stepped out the door when my grandchildren appeared at the gate.
Quedaba solo un trozo de pastel después de la cena de acción de gracias.
There remained only a slice of cake after the Thanksgiving dinner. There remained only a slice of cake after the Thanksgiving dinner.
Es entendible que no quieras involucrarte.
It's understandable that you don't want to get involved. It's understandable that you don't want to get involved.
¿Quién crees que compensará a Daniela por su pérdida?
Who do you think will compensate Daniela for her loss? Who do you think will compensate Daniela for her loss?
Marsal ciertamente no es el mejor candidato para este puesto.
Marshall is certainly not the best candidate for this position. Marshall is certainly not the best candidate for this position.
Todos los maestros deberían mantener un alto nivel de educación.
All teachers should maintain a high standard of education. All teachers should maintain a high standard of education.
Accidentalmente, el plato de guarnición se le resbaló de las manos al mesero.
Accidentally, the garnish plate slipped out of the waiter's hands. Accidentally, the garnish plate slipped out of the waiter's hands.
Una empresa sin fines de lucro está reclutando jóvenes voluntarios.
A non-profit company is recruiting young volunteers. A non-profit company is recruiting young volunteers.
El tsunami hubiera sido predecible si hubieran prestado atención a todas las señales que lo precedieron.
The tsunami would have been predictable if they had paid attention to all the signs preceding it. The tsunami would have been predictable if they had paid attention to all the signs preceding it.
Tomar decisiones inmediatas no es una de mis habilidades primordiales.
Immediate decision-making is not one of my strong points. Immediate decision-making is not one of my strong points.
La colaboración entre nosotros dos.
Collaboration between the two of us. Collaboration between the two of us.
No estoy seguro de que Carl sepa la fecha de la revisión anual de su auto, M.
I am not convinced that Carl knows the date of his annual car service. I am not convinced that Carl knows the date of his annual car service.
Es fundamental que todos los médicos tengan empatía con sus pacientes.
It is essential for all doctors to have empathy with their patients. It is essential for all doctors to have empathy with their patients.
Le he advertido específicamente sobre los riesgos de consumir demasiados alimentos grasos.
I have specifically warned her about the risks of consuming too much fatty food. I have specifically warned her about the risks of consuming too much fatty food.
El destino de toda una generación puede cambiar después de una guerra.
The fate of an entire generation can change after a war. The fate of an entire generation can change after a war.
A pesar de las tecnologías satelitales avanzadas, el granizo es muchas veces impredecible.
Despite advanced satellite technologies, hail is often unpredictable. Despite advanced satellite technologies, hail is often unpredictable.
Venezuela no es la excepción.
Venezuela is no exception. Venezuela is no exception.
Curiosamente, algunos buitres comen primero la médula de un animal muerto.
Interestingly, it is the marrow of a killed animal that some vultures eat first. Interestingly, it is the marrow of a killed animal that some vultures eat first.
Supongo que la razón por la que no vinieron a nuestra fiesta de inauguración fue porque tuvieron que irse antes al aeropuerto.
I suppose the reason they didn't come to our housewarming party was that they had to leave for the airport earlier. I suppose the reason they didn't come to our housewarming party was that they had to leave for the airport earlier.
En casi todos los casos, comer desenfrenadamente, finalmente conduce a la obesidad.
In almost all cases, binge eating ultimately leads to obesity. In almost all cases, binge eating ultimately leads to obesity.
Los niños deben desarrollar desde una edad temprana las habilidades para resolver problemas.
Children's problem-solving skills should be developed from an early age. Children's problem-solving skills should be developed from an early age.
A las personas se les debe enseñar cómo manejar conflictos en todas las áreas de su vida.
People should be taught how to handle conflict in all areas of life. People should be taught how to handle conflict in all areas of life.